My name is Lindsay Leach, and I'm excited to share that I'm going to be a mom. You'll probably notice that I'm not pregnant. You know, I've been getting a lot of fun looks in the elevator because there's going to be a baby announcement and no pregnancy, but I actually have a very special story. My sisters are actually helping me have this baby.
So I'm Brooke, and I am carrying my sister's baby.
And my name is Megan, and I donated the egg for the baby.
We are going to talk about our story. It's a story about sisters and how we grew up, loving each other and willing to do whatever we can to help each other, whether it's having a baby or just going to the store.
We love each other to death, but definitely had our fights growing up. Lindsay and I tended to gang up on Megan a tad.
They made their own language, so I couldn't talk to them.
You know, just a few things.
Or cut my hair, you know.
I'm sure you wanted it.
True love.
Just typical things as sisters do, as you know, growing up, kids do. But I would say as we've gotten older, you know, they're my best friends. And so if something happens, they're who I reach out to tell.
Yeah, definitely.
So I met my sweetheart in college. We graduated one week and married the next. I think within the span of 3 months, we did everything you're not supposed to do. Graduated, got married, moved to Dallas, started new jobs. And so we've been there for probably almost 18 years now. We don't have any kids yet, but there's, you know, one on the way. We've always had a strong relationship, and we tried for a really long time. There was probably a period where we had to grieve the dream of ours. Before it kind of led to this. But before we get to that, I should probably let you hear about my sisters' lives and their kids and the fun that's
So I'm the second sister, Brooke Bill. I work at Texas Middle School as 8th grade assistant principal. I met my husband actually on vacation. Again, something that I never thought I would do, but we talked. Our families actually lived close together in Mississippi. It was a long distance relationship, and so he did finally move to Texas, the great state, and we have two beautiful girls together, Emily and Lindsay, and I actually named my daughter Lindsay actually her name is Lindsay Nicole, and it's named after my sister Lindsay, and then my sister's name is Megan Nicole. So I named my second after my sisters, a sister after sisters.
So my name's Megan Beecham. I've been married to my husband for 13 years now. We have two girls and a boy, Olivia, Faith, and Hunter. They definitely keep me busy and on my toes, especially the boy. I work for Heritage Home Health as the home health branch manager here in Texarkana.
You know, probably about when I was 27, we started thinking about having a family. We'd been married for 5 years, and it was time. And, you know, I didn't know at the time. You think you have everything, you know. You're married, you're happy, you have a job. It was difficult, especially when you have to watch your best friends have babies. So we spent a good 7 years trying to have kids. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, after deciding that that's not something you want to continue to do, you have to grieve. And I think we spent a few years grieving, and I can say that I probably wouldn't have made it through that time without them. You know, they were always there. They were always supporting us. And I would even say throughout the whole time, my sisters were always like, well, you know we'll do it for you. You know we'll do it.
Yeah. We always had this crazy plan that Megan would donate her egg, and I would carry for her. And it was always like, when you're ready, when you're ready. And finally, in January, she came to us and she said she was ready. Yep. And we were like, okay.
I mean, that's pretty much what happened. I mean, it's a little bit because I was turning 40. You know, it's just my husband and I kept talking. We kept always talking about, well, when our kids do this or when our kids, you know, we hadn't completely let go of that dream. And, you know, I was going to turn 40 and I was like, if we're going to do this, we need to do it. And so that's what we did. We decided and we asked, and it was probably a super easy decision for them. I don't know. I would love for y'all to tell me how you felt. But I know when we were asking, it was really hard to even ask because it was starting that dream again. So it was starting that hope, is it going to happen? And I kind of knew they were going to say yes if I even brought it up. So, but I know it was when we made the decision after the call, like both my husband and I just were really, it was very hopeful. I'll say that. It was very hopeful.
So when Lindsay called to see if I would be willing to donate eggs, I was totally for it. I have 3 blessings, and I wanted to be able to give her that as well. I didn't really have any reservations about donating eggs until my age was questioned. I didn't think 36 was old. Apparently it is in baby world. So, but there was no question that I would do anything for her.
And I think the same for me when she contacted me. It was almost like we were just waiting for the phone call. Just whenever you're ready, we're ready. And so, without a doubt, it was yes. And Daniel, my husband, was of course on board. He likes to joke that he sometimes has more of the pregnancy symptoms than I do. So he was all for eating ice cream and sweets. But
we have a pregnancy picture to prove
it. There were no reservations on my part. It was just whenever she was ready. If this was God's plan, then it would work out. And if not, then we would take the next step. So, there were...
I think the best part is the kids.
It's really, the kids have been the funniest. They've been the best because I don't know if my youngest really understands as much, but my oldest, my 7-year-old, when we first started talking about it, and I was just kind of prepping her that they may put 2 babies in, and I'll be pregnant, and just talking to her about it. And one day she goes, "Well, how about they put 2 babies in and you give one to Aunt Lindsay and we keep one?" I was like, "No, ma'am, absolutely not." And so I still have to, at the beginning, I still had to remind them that this is Aunt Lindsay's baby. It's your cousin. And so we use that language. This is your cousin. This is Aunt Lindsay's baby. When I have the baby, they give the baby to Aunt Lindsay. And so, they're excited. They're funny.
The baby's actually due on my youngest, my son's birthday, April 8th. So he is thrilled. And then the fact that it's a boy just put the cherry on the top.
He was ecstatic at the baby reveal.
Yeah, he was high-fiving everyone. My middle, Faith, was born in February, and she's very upset the baby didn't come in February. So we're hoping for a March baby, so it splits both of them, and everyone's happy. But my kids are just so excited and ready to have a cousin. They ask all the time if she's had the baby yet.
And what about your parents, y'all's parents?
Oh, I think that they're thrilled.
I think everybody's
so
just
happy.
Yeah.
Supported.
Yeah, I would definitely say that they're proud of us. They've always expressed how proud they are of the things that we do, but I think that this kind of just takes it to a different level.
And it's 7 when our brother has a baby.
Our brother is pregnant.
Yeah. So the brother who's not here, they're doing August. They're doing August. So they've had, it's actually Kendall and I have been very close, and that we've been talking about our experiences because, they've taken steps to get pregnant. And so, yes, even for her, she even asked me, she goes, "I know this is kind of your moment, but, is it okay if we do it too?" And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Like, I never want to stop someone else from, their own miracle. Yeah.
And I would say that just for our family, we're close. We do everything together. We sit down at the beginning of the year and we plan out all of our holidays and our vacations, and we each have a holiday that we're responsible for. And so we all go to Halloween and Easter, and I'm Christmas, and we've adopted my sister-in-law as another sibling. She's
she likes to cook.
And so
yes, we need a cooker.
We've always done everything together. We're very close. I will say that IVF was difficult because they tell you that you're going to get a shot every day, and you don't understand. It's painful at the end. You're over it. You do it for 15 weeks of shots. You
Like
start
once you're
prior
pregnant.
to, and then it's 12 weeks. You do it for 12 weeks. And my husband was giving the shot, and he's not a nurse. He's a teacher. And so,
Megan's shots were a lot better, I hear.
She would come and save the day some nights. But, it was a lot of medicine that I had to take, a lot of shots. And so it really wasn't, it was painful. It wasn't difficult. I did get COVID around week 8. And so that was probably the hardest part because, I'm still trying to give or still giving shots. I'm sick, very sick. And so that was probably the most difficult part, was just getting COVID.
Yeah. But, I think also they helped me through all of my procedures. I think it was interesting and insight for them too, to just see, here's a little piece of what I went through multiple times.
Because even for her part, she had to do shots
and
to
all the
prepare
medicine
for.
But I didn't have anybody to give my shots. So for someone who went from not being able to stick themselves for a blood sugar, it took a lot of self-talk. I did my own.
You learn to do things that you didn't think you could do when you're doing IVF, is all I can say, because I did the same. Actually, I still can't look. I used to close my eyes and give myself a shot because I couldn't watch. Actually, at work, I've pretty much made half of my team cry. I usually tell the story and then they start crying. And I would say something I heard more than once, as the months have progressed, is they just loved hearing a story about positivity, of hope, of something good happening, especially with on the trail end of COVID, just, everything's always so doom and gloom. And a lot of people are like, it's just nice to hear about a story of hope and love and sisters. And, it was just good, positive.
Have made several people cry. They continue to talk about the blessing, and I would say at the beginning it was very emotional, but now that we're in it, in the mix of it, it's just, I would do anything for both of my sisters, for anyone in my family. And so it's been very positive. Being the assistant principal, the kids have been very supportive and kind. They'll come and check on me and they'll tell me to sit down. And so, everybody just around me has just tried to take care of me as well.
I feel like we have a lot of people rooting for us. A lot of people I worked with knew the procedures we were going through and the journey we were going through to get there. And I think that everybody just wants to see this ending as much as we do. I feel like we just started and we've already gotten to the end of everything.
And I don't think anybody's ever stopped and given us advice, but they're just I guess in awe of the sacrifices that we've all made.
Yes, I've heard several times, I wouldn't do that for my sister.
I have to, yeah.
Or you like your sister a lot more than I like mine.
Yeah.
That's been a common thing.
Yeah.
Yes, I've heard that a couple of times. Your sisters sure do love you. Yes, they do.
I do tell them that it's not my baby, just because.
Well, her husband, hold on. She has to tell you that her husband likes to tell people it's not his baby.
He loves it. Yeah.
He does.
Absolutely. They'll come up and say, congratulations. And he's like, it's not mine. And I'm like, and then he finally tells them it's not mine either. But, yeah. But I just, I wanted to make sure I not separated myself from the baby, but that it's not mine. And, that was one of the things I think researching was that, is there an attachment? And I think that would be the concerns that people have. Are you going to be attached? Are you going to be able to let it go? And so I've never, it's never been my baby. It's always been her baby.
And we're the aunts.
And we're the aunts, yeah. And
So
this is the cousin.
as like a family.
Yeah, and I'll get to see him as much as I want.
And I think that's what's different from a different surrogacy is we will always have a connection. We'll always be able to run and see the baby if we want. We can hold the baby and, then send it home. So it's not like we wouldn't be a part of the child's life.
Yeah, and even going into this, like part of the surrogacy process, we all had to go to a counselor
psych
to have a psych
evaluations.
eval. Like husbands and wives together had to go have a psych eval and, make sure we were in the right mindset, and we came out with flying colors. So
Yeah, a lot of people have asked what I'm going to feel like when the kid comes out looking like me. But the thing is we look similar. My parents didn't put our names on baby pictures, so sometimes we grab one and we're like, might be me, and roll with it. I would even say that some of my kids have characteristics of Lindsay and Brooke. So I don't think it's going to be any different if the kid does have, characteristics of mine.
I mean, I think there's actually little Lindsay. There's a picture of my dad when he's about the same age, and they look identical. And so, it shows up everywhere. It's in our genes. So
The only worries I have are the worries that any pregnant person would have. It's just the recovery afterwards, the delivery. Your hormones are kind of all over the place. And so to me, the only worry I have would be any typical worry a pregnant person would have. Yeah.
What am I supposed to talk about?
Just talking
What
about
made it possible?
why do you think this made it possible? I mean, I called and you said yes, and yes, we love each other. And
Well, I think the closeness of our family is what made it possible. We did not have any cousins that were our ages, so it was us to play with.
yes,
We
we did everything
we
together.
were together 24/7, which is probably why we fought as much as we did. But then when you move out and go to college and do your own thing, you kind of come back to being a family unit. And I think that
We're
just our
strong.
love.
We're a strong family unit.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the only concerns that I have are just any concern that anybody that's pregnant would have. What the recovery afterwards, the delivery, the hormones. So concerns with the baby, going to her, absolutely not. Just typical pregnancy concerns.
Yeah. I would say my husband was a little concerned that me moving in, so I moved in on March 5th to make sure I was there for the birth, because you never know, this is her third baby. Her best friend actually just had her baby, I think in 3 hours.
She did.
Her third baby. So I just want to make sure I don't miss it. But I think I would repeat what Brooke said. I'm very worried. Not very worried, but worried just that, the attachment afterwards and making sure, that nothing happens, in the delivery. I mean, there's always that concern and worry, and that everybody's going to be okay. When we went through the initial process, going through the gestational agreement, which by the way was an experience, because usually a gestational agreement is between someone you don't know. And so there were probably 35 pages, and about half of it I just went through and crossed out, because I wasn't going to tell my sister how to eat, and I wasn't going to tell my sister what medicine to take. Like, I know what she's going to do, but it brought up just different thoughts, and one of them was life insurance, and mortality rates and pregnancy, things you don't associate always with pregnancy. And so that's been a worry, and I think I'm worrying as a first-time mom, am I going to be a good mom? But I have two great sisters that are great moms that'll help me afterwards.
And I'm actually progressing, so we're
Pretty
thinking
quickly.
that it'll
Oh, like you're dilating? Oh, you're saying? Oh, okay.
yeah, my first appointment, I was almost to a 3 and more than 50% of phase.
So
Yeah, well, that was
we're
last
squeaking this in, I
Tuesday.
think.
Oh my gosh, let's have a baby.
Yeah, I know.
Back to taking care of
Yeah, we told, yeah.
Yeah, were you really?
Literally like that.
Yeah.
It's about that way.
So I'm there. Many of the nights I'm having contractions, like it'll wake me up.
I think my favorite moment probably for me and my husband was when we finally accepted that she was pregnant. because for a long time we didn't even accept it after she got a positive pregnancy test, because we had lost 3 around 9 weeks. And so making it to that 12 weeks was really big for us because we'd never made it that far. And so I think that moment when we finally accepted that, yes, we're finally going to get to have a baby was probably my favorite.
I think my favorite moment was after we got the eggs donated. We came out with quite a few. Yes. And so I was like, yes, I'm not that old.
Actually, the doctor confirmed something very important that we've always called her, Fertile Myrtle.
And she, in fact, is.
Yes, very much so, very much so. Yeah, they said most people only get like 2 good eggs. Megan had 6 great eggs.
So you're going to end up with like...
No, I don't know. I think our babysitter over here is only babysitting once.
Okay.
I wrote them a prayer when we first did everything that just was like a prayer about, love and finding peace if it doesn't work, and, just at the end of the day that, it'd be okay. Whatever happened, it would be okay.
I think the verse, for this child I have prayed
Yes.
would really fit.
Yeah. He has 3 mothers.
He's going to be so rotten.
So rotten.